All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. This is Tyler King with the Denver Gazette, back previewing another Colorado Buffaloes football game, and we've got the regular season home finale this weekend with Senior Day at Folsom Field as the Buffs, as we discussed last time out, fell to West Virginia, moving to 3-7 on the season and are not in contention for a bowl game anymore. But still 2 games left in the season, and at least this week have a chance to play spoiler with Arizona State coming to town, and obviously the Buffs looking toward the future now with trying to build around Julian Lewis now at quarterback and some of the young pieces they're hoping to keep in Boulder for next season as they look to gear back up and get back to where they expected to be for this season, because obviously this hasn't gone the way they expected, even not how I expected. I didn't expect them to be Big 12 contenders like they did, but I thought they could at least sneak by and make it into a bowl game. But obviously things have gone a lot not nearly as well as expected in Boulder this season. But still got 2 more games to look forward to on the calendar. Last one, like I said, at Folsom Field for the season. And to help us preview this week's game on Saturday night against Arizona State, we've got Michelle Gardner, who covers the Sun Devils for the Arizona Republic. Michelle, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to seeing you and the rest of the Sun Devils beat come to Folsom this weekend. Should be a fun one.
Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, it's the first time since Arizona State is back in Boulder since 2022, back when they were Pac-12 foes. And I wanted to start this conversation about one of the guys that was on the field during that game, one of the very few people that was still that will be back on the field this week, and that's Jordyn Tyson, obviously the Arizona State star wide receiver. I guess it could be on the field. He's questionable for this game. Obviously he was at Colorado back then and now has turned into one of the best wide receivers in the country and looks like he'll be a first-round draft pick in the NFL this time or next spring. Just how cool is it for you just to see Jordan's rise in Tempe, and just kind of what did you expect out of him? Because obviously those of us on the Colorado beat back then in 2022 knew he was going to be a star, and expected him to be this good as a wide receiver, but he's really kind of come into his own these last couple of years in Tempe and has flourished. Like what has led to this success for him in his second stop?
Well, he's got a guy as his wide receivers coach named Hines Ward. That's a good start.
That certainly is, yeah.
And first of all, Jordyn Tyson's just a gem of a kid. Really, I say kid, to me, they're all kids, okay? But his maturity in the last year is another thing. I mean, we always knew he had the talent. You all knew he had the talent. And last year he was good. Obviously, he had the broken collarbone at the end of the year that made him sit out the last couple of games. But even from last year to this year, his maturity, his work ethic, he's just kind of taken it to the next level. It's like, okay, this kid's got the talent, but just not that he didn't put in the work before, but he's just taken everything to another level, whether it's more film study, more time in the weight room, more focus on being a leader in the off the field thing. So as much as he's got the on-field talent, his maturity and all the things that go into making a great player outside of the on the field stuff, he's taken that to another level. And obviously we've seen the benefits of that. And he's just a special talent. I'm really sorry he's been unhealthy these last couple of games, because I really thought he was going to be a guy in contention for the Biletnikoff. And I thought he had all the potential to break a ton of single season records this year for ASU receiving. And obviously that hasn't happened.
Yeah, I'm actually a Biletnikoff Award voter. So if he had if he had a chance to play the entire season, I'm sure he would have been one of the guys I picked as one of my finalists this week, because I do believe he is one of the best wide receivers in the country. And it's so funny because I remember leading into that 2022 season here in Boulder, like we knew it wasn't going to be great, but one of the guys everyone on the staff and the players kept talking about as like a breakout candidate was Jordyn Tyson. It was like we kept hearing about Jordyn Tyson as a true freshman. He was always making plays during camp, and that Arizona State game a couple years ago was one of his best games as a Buff. He had over 100 receiving yards in the game, had a punt return for a touchdown. I was rewatching that earlier today, and he obviously gets hurt the next week against Oregon, another big game he had. So it's just interesting to see how far he's come. Where do you think what do you think is his best attribute as a wide receiver at this point? Because obviously you look at mock drafts, you see all the NFL draft people talk about him as a top 10 kind of pick. What do you think is the thing that makes him best at wideout?
I mean, he's got everything, but I just love his hands. So I'll give you a good example. So one day we were inside practicing, and there was a ball towards every practice he seemingly makes a crap catch where we go, holy crap, did he really just catch that? But there was one that was kind of high, and he reached up with his hand and grabbed it out of the air with his hand. Like, okay, you can grab a golf ball or a tennis ball. He literally grabbed away from his body and grabbed it out of the air with his hand. And I'm like, did he really just do that? Like, I just think he's just got great hands. And there was another play where it actually happened right in front of where all the media were standing. And we actually have the pleasure. We get to watch every minute of practice. I know very few schools get that luxury, but we literally get to watch all 2 hours of practice. And it was a play on the sidelines again, and he kind of made a spin move and brought it into his body. And it's just, I think it's more his hands. That's just, if anything is even close, he's going to catch it.
Yeah, he's obviously had a couple of big games this season. That last time out against Texas Tech, that dramatic win. The last time he got to play in October, he had over 100 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, he's had a great connection with Sam Leavitt the last couple of years. But that transition to what I want to talk about next is because the quarterback that Colorado will be facing is not an unfamiliar opponent. They faced Jeff Sims when he was at Nebraska in the home opener in the first home game of the Deion Sanders era in 2023. And although Jeff Sims had I think he had like a 70-yard touchdown run early in that game, but he had a couple fumbles and overall struggled as Nebraska lost to Colorado. But Jeff Sims, obviously with Sam Leavitt out for the season now, has played pretty well these last couple of games. Like, what has impressed you the most about Jeff's dual threat ability? It really seems like he's found, or the Kenny Dillingham and the offensive staff too have found a way to make the most out of his talents.
Well, I think the thing for him is there's no looking over his shoulder. When is Sam coming back? He's getting all the first team reps. He's now getting reps with receivers that he wasn't getting reps with before because he was on the second team. So I think he's just getting more and more comfortable. And I think when you look at Jeff Sims, the one thing that really stands out about him, and everybody here is just so thrilled that he's had some success, because here's a kid that had 1 year of college eligibility left. Could have gone anywhere. Like how many quarterbacks nowadays in the landscape of college football have 1 year of eligibility left, and they decide to go back to a school where they know they're not going to be the starting quarterback?
It's so rare.
And he has said, and I actually I did a big story on him back in the spring, and he said, Kenny Dillingham and Marcus Arroyo are great offensive minds. He wants to play in the NFL. And he said, I'm still learning and I'm soaking it up every day being around the people I'm around. And that's just such a joy to hear something like that when he had every reason to leave. And I think when you've got a school that's got a luxury of having a backup quarterback that started 26 games, gosh, where would they be without Jeff Sims this year? And I was talking with somebody the other day, and we were kind of going over in our mind, who are the MVPs of this team? And I said, well, if you got to pick an offensive MVP, I'm probably picking Jeff Sims. Because, I mean, all their offensive weapons, they haven't had one guy stay healthy. And really, without Jeff Sims, who knows? This team may not finish 500. And he's had the knack of the turnovers. That's kind of been the bugaboo about him. And when you look at the Iowa State game, he rushed for 228 yards, which was obscene when you think about it. And it's also obscene that a quarterback should have to carry the ball 29 times, but desperate times calls for desperate measures. But he did have 3 turnovers in that game. So outside of that game, he's done a pretty good job of not turning the ball over. So I think that the offense, they're doing things that are more suited to his skill set. He's a big dude. He's 6'4", 225. So he's pretty hard to stop when you're down in the goal line and you need a 1 or 2 yards. And I think this might be another game. I know that Colorado has not done a good job stopping the run, and they've not
Especially
done well against running quarterback.
Yes.
Exactly. So I think this has got Jeff Sims written all over it.
Yeah, it's certainly, and he obviously has done well throwing the ball too. It's not just with his legs. He had 207 passing yards and 3 touchdowns against West Virginia last time out, a close win for Arizona State. Another guy that is kind of a former Buff, Shimon Mateer, has played pretty well this season too at tight end. He was with the Buffs for a spring
right.
period.
A nanosecond, literally.
Yeah, just a couple months, but it's kind of found his home at Arizona State. But before we're getting into a quick prediction here, just what have you seen from the Sun Devil defense these last couple weeks? Obviously, Scotty Fox Jr., the West Virginia quarterback, had over 350 passing yards last time out. But Arizona State's got a lot of guys that can make plays at all 3 levels of the defense. Just what should CU fans expect from this ASU defense going this week?
Well, they're really good at stopping the run, which Colorado doesn't run very well, so that's probably not a good thing there. Really all levels of their defense are pretty good. Now, the bugaboo with them, the defense has given up the big plays. So when you look at the yardage total West Virginia had, it looks really good. But when you consider that 165 yards came on 2 plays, that's both good and bad. If you're ASU, that's bad because you gave up big plays. You turned that game into a close game when it shouldn't have been a close game because you gave up 2 big plays. So, and they did that against Mississippi State. They should have won that game. So they've kind of had the knack of giving up a big play here or there, but really their defense has been pretty solid all the way around. Now, let's go back to the Texas Tech game. Who holds Texas Tech to 269 yards offense?
Not anybody in the Big 12, that's for sure.
Who? Nobody. Nobody. That's like half of what they've been averaging. So when you go back to that, and they're still missing some key guys from the defense with injuries. So, I think that the defense has been pretty solid all year. And sometimes it takes 1 or 2 drives for them to get their footing under them, basically. You look at the West Virginia game, and West Virginia on their first 2 drives got inside the 10-yard line twice and only had a field goal to show for it. I think that was a huge factor because you get inside the 10 twice and you only come away with 3 points. That's going to usually come back to haunt you. So sometimes they struggle early as they're kind of trying to finding their zones and just getting their feet under them. But the defense has been pretty solid. And the defensive pass rush has been much better this year. Justin Watley is a guy that's kind of really emerged. Prince Dorba, they just got him back. He's one of their other very good pass rushers. So that, if I had to pick an area that's the most improved area on the team, I would say it's the pass rush. If you look at the most solid unit of this team, I would say the linebackers. I think Jordan Crook and Keyshawn Elliott are both 2 of the best linebackers in the Big 12. They're both just phenomenal. And then if you want to go to the top defensive prospect on this team, Keith Abney's had a phenomenal year. Now, Keith Abney is a cornerback. He had 2 plays last week that were phenomenal. He had the game-saving interception when West Virginia was driving at the end of the game, but also on West Virginia's second drive when they were going inside the 10, they had a 4th and goal, and they threw in the end zone, and Abney knocked it away. So he had 2 plays that were literally game-saving plays last week, and I've seen him go in some people's first round. He's a true junior, so I would say Keith Abney is kind of a star in the making. And we were surprised that they threw at him as often as they did last week because he has been so good. So, like I said, they've got pretty good playmakers at every level of the defense. And that's even without Xavier Alford, who's a safety. And he's been out since the 2nd week of the season with a back.
Big 12 kind of guy, yeah.
Yeah, he was an all Pac-12, Big 12 selection last year, and he had back surgery. So that's even without him. So I think the defense has been pretty solid. If you're looking at weaknesses for this Arizona State team, I would go with the offensive line and special teams. Special teams has been, other than their place kicker, Jesus Gomez, the punting has been horrific. The coverage has not been great. They haven't gotten much on returns. So the coverage units and special teams has been really a disaster. It's not been good. So the offensive line was better last week, but I think those are the 2 question marks for ASU that really that for this team moving forward. Are they going to be in the Big 12 hunt? Are they going to win a major bowl game? I think Those are the two areas that we're looking at. And with the offensive line, part of that is that their center, Ben Coleman, is out for the year with injury too. So when you look at this team, I think, to have 7 wins at this point, when they're basically without their quarterback, without their top running back, without Jordyn Tyson, maybe he comes back this week, without their center, it's pretty amazing that they're where they are.
Yeah, everything has gone wrong, but they've kind of stuck with it and found a way to get some wins, which is kind of the opposite for Colorado. But they played a little bit better last time out with Julian Lewis at quarterback, and I think there will be a chance for them to make some big plays. Like you said, Arizona State has given up a lot of big plays throughout at times this season, and Colorado's got playmakers on the outside with guys like Omarion Miller, Joseph Williams, guys that I've talked about all season long, guys that if the offensive line, which did struggle last week or 2 weeks ago against West Virginia, gave up I think 7 sacks. If they give Julian Lewis time to throw, I think he'll be able to make plays downfield, even against a talented ASU secondary, like you said. All right, Michelle, before I get you out of here, what you got a quick prediction for us for Saturday?
Well, if ever ASU was going to win a game by more than 1 score, it would be this game. But they don't win any game by 1 score. It's never that easy. Like, I've never seen anything like it in my life, okay? So they've got 5 wins that are determined by a total of 17 points. So it's always going to be harder than it should be, I think. But I think that ASU's in a position where Colorado's weaknesses play right into some of their strengths. And I think that's going to be a big factor. I think that the Jeff Sims being able to run the ball and them being able to run the ball is huge. If it's cold and wet, maybe teams can't throw the ball as much. I think that ASU is in a position to maybe try and rattle the freshman quarterback, as talented as he is, or maybe bring a pass rush, try and bring different looks and try and confuse them. I just think ASU's just some of their strengths go right into Colorado's weaknesses. So I'm going to go something like 34-17.
I think it's gonna be a little bit closer. I do think it'll be a closer game. I think Colorado showed something last time out. I think having the bye week allowed Julian Lewis some time to get ready for this game. First start at home. I think they'll be jazzed up for that senior day. But I just think ASU is too talented. Like you said, I think Jeff Sims will be able to help them move the ball. And if Jordyn Tyson's able to go, I think that'll really put them over the top. I think both teams will be able to score and move the ball. I'm gonna go 31-27 Arizona State.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. I think with Tyson, it's going to be an interesting call. Being cold and possibly wet, that's not the best conditions for a guy coming back from a hamstring injury. So I know that earlier this year, they kind of had a decision like that with Kyson Brown, where they're going to play him in a game where it was going to be cold and wet, and they held him out. And, if I'm Kenny, I don't bring him back. I try and save him from himself, because they're going to have nothing against Colorado, but they're going to have tougher games ahead. And, if you can give him another week to get healthy, I think it's in their best interest to hold him out. Now, that's just me. I don't have any inside information there. The other thing that they could do too is kind of use him as a decoy. Because if you put Jordyn Tyson out there, now you've got to dedicate, if you're Colorado, you better dedicate at least 1 or probably 2 guys to him. So you could possibly use him as a decoy, if you know what I mean, and make the defense pay attention to him. And that maybe opens up the line of scrimmage.
Game too. He's always been a good run blocker as well. That's one thing that's jumped out to me. Yeah. All right, Michelle, I appreciate you hopping on and doing this, and I'll see you in the press box on Saturday night. Everybody can go check out all of your work leading up to the game at azcentral.com. So I appreciate you doing this once again.
Anytime.